was about to do a sort of quick, just a few move postpartum core, or really a core workout for anyone, but these exercises that I was going to incorporate today are Diastasis Recti safe. So I'm just going to explain sort of what that is just for a couple minutes while I sort of let people potentially hop on live here. And then of course this will go onto my channel under the live tab once it's completed and I'm able to upload it. So Diastasis Recti is abdominal separation. So basically your abs in your belly are kind of lined up like this. And what happens when you're pregnant, not all the time, but very, very commonly, they separate. And that happens to make space for the baby as your belly is growing, as your uterus is growing. And very commonly, continues throughout pregnancy and then postpartum, even though the baby is out and things are going back to the way that they were in terms of the size of your uterus, that separation can still be there. It is possible that it heals itself over time, but there are ways to aid that healing, to make that healing be a little bit more efficient. There are certain things to avoid to prevent it from getting worse, to not delay the sort of normal healing. And this is something, again, it's incredibly common. And even as a family physician that trained, part of my training was taking care of pregnant patients, delivering babies, taking care of postpartum patients. When I was postpartum with my first, I did not recognize that I had a diastasis, and my OBGYN that did my postpartum visit also did not. In hindsight, I know that I did because after I delivered my second, I had a lot of the same symptoms. A lot of the physical exam that I did on myself was similar. And when I had gone to my postpartum appointment after my second baby, the doctor said, "Oh my gosh, you have a huge diastasis." I was also having a lot of pelvic floor issues at that point. And she was like, "You need to get in with pelvic floor physical therapy." And like hands down, that was absolutely the best time I've ever spent postpartum. I learned a ton about how you recover both pelvic floor wise as well as diastasis. And after my recovery, that second pregnancy, then I sort of had learned how to do this, how to recover after you have a baby. And so, like I said, today I was just going to do sort of a quick little ab workout that really anyone can do. This is something that would be sort of on the more beginnerish side. And then over time, you can progress and add and make it more challenging. But also, whether you are postpartum or not, these moves can be very challenging. And these are moves that I would do for weeks and weeks and weeks, like hundreds and hundreds of times as a postpartum person to really rebuild the core. And it's so important in the postpartum period to rebuild your core and your pelvic floor before you get back to maybe whatever exercise you were doing before you had the baby. Definitely before you start doing anything new, and definitely before you strength train or do any of that. Many of these moves, some of them are gentle enough that you can even be doing them sort of in, not necessarily waiting until the 6 weeks out. You could be doing them sort of in that initial few weeks out period, but that's of course a discussion between you and your healthcare team. But yeah, so there is a way to heal that's really important. And then things like strength training and cardio are important to add in and layer as you recover, but you have to heal your pelvic floor and your abs before you can do that in a safe way. And that will really help your body avoid complications in the future because you maybe pushed too hard before those areas were healed. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. I'm gonna, some people are watching. So hi, everybody. I'm gonna hop back to my mat and get started. So this is sort of a warm-up move, but still also gets the core turned on. So we're gonna plant our left leg, hand on the left hip, raise your right arm up. So big inhale. On that inhale, your ribs expand in all directions, and then exhale, knee to elbow. And on the exhale, you're thinking about blowing out hundreds of birthday candles, Your ribs knit back together, your abs are sort of tightening around you like a corset, and your pelvic floor is up and in. So again, inhale, exhale. We'll do a few more on this side and then we're gonna switch. Always pairing with the breathing. So inhale and exhale. And I will link my 360 breathing video below. That the breathing that I am describing is often called 360 breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. It can feel overwhelming with the amount of things to think about, but as you practice it, it becomes second nature. We're gonna switch sides. And again, this is not like, this move is not one you would be doing necessarily brand new postpartum, but certainly if you're back to walking around regularly, you know, you've talked with your doctor about doing some early movement, this is pretty gentle. And I love this because it works on balance also, in addition to getting some of that core work in. So again, it's inhale, ribs expand, exhale. And you want it to be intentional. So when you're doing that exhale, you're really thinking about the ribs knitting back together and really thinking about that deep core being like wrapping around you, really engaging that musculature. We'll do 2 more here. 1 and 2. Amazing. I'm just gonna make sure, okay. I can't see the, like if there's any comments or chat, so I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so now I'm gonna hop back to my mat. I'm gonna lay down on my back to start. We're gonna do a couple exercises here. So the first one, and again, this is maybe a little bit less, it's like in moderate, I would say, in between beginner and sort of advanced. I do have like really beginner videos on my channel. I can link those below as well. So I am in a tabletop position. So I have my knees at 90 and my hips at 90. You can have your hands by your sides. You can have them sort of resting on your belly, whatever feels good. You want to think about your low back being in like a neutral position. So you don't want it arched, and you don't want it like slammed into the mat. You just kind of want to be neutral. So you're going to take an inhale, and on the inhale, you're going to drop your right toes to the mat, and then exhale, bring them back up. And we're going to alternate sides. So inhale, now we're left toes, and then exhale back up. This is slow. This is intentional. This is not rushing. This is really thinking about, again, pairing the breath with the movement, which is hugely critical to healing your core postpartum, but also critical if you are just maybe getting back into movement in general. Practicing this and learning this will help other movements be more effective. So again, it's exhale, the legs back up, audible exhale, pelvic floor is up and in. Really thinking about, you can even imagine like you have magnets on your hips, and when you're exhaling, you're thinking about those magnets, like magnetizing your hips back together. So it's inhale down, ribs expand in all directions, pelvic floor relaxes. Exhale back up. We're gonna do 4 more like this. 4, 3, exhale up. 2, inhale down, exhale up, and 1. Now, to be challenging, we're gonna do both feet. So it's inhale both, and then exhale up. Now here, if this is feeling like you're losing control of your low back stability, if this is feeling like your belly is pushing out or coning or bulging, then that would be I'm gonna go back to the single leg. And that's absolutely okay. You do whatever works for you. If you're doing double leg, we'll do 3 more. 3, exhale up. Inhale down, 2, exhale up, and 1. Exhale up. Awesome. Now we're gonna go into what's called a dead bug. I'm just making sure I'm gonna scoot down a little bit so I have space here. So same positioning here. You're gonna get into that 90-90, and you can see I always wiggle to make sure my back is in the right location. Hands are pointing up, and I'm in that tabletop here, 90 at the knee, 90 at the hip. So the full move is inhale, And on the inhale, you drop your left leg and your left arm, and then exhale it back up. So then inhale, you're dropping your right your right leg and your left arm, and then exhale it back up. So this is sort of the traditional move, and you can alternate with your breathing. Inhale down, exhale up, making sure on the down, your back is not arching off. You want to think about having it pressed down. So if this is feeling nice and stable, you're feeling like, yep, my back is where it should be, my abs are not bulging out, amazing. If you need it to be more modified, one option is you can have your legs in a loose tabletop. So instead of holding them at 90, you let your calves just rest on your hamstrings. And then you do a little toe tap. So you still do the arms. So now I'm dropping my right arm and left toes. So instead of having that full leg extension, this is a little more modified. Another way to modify it is you keep your legs like this and you just do the arms. Another way to modify it is you just do the legs. If you are like, hey, Dr. Sarah, I'm doing the full thing, how do I make it more challenging? You can hold weights. So you can hold small dumbbells, 3s, 5s. You could hold water bottles, you could hold soup cans, but that's a way to make that move more challenging. And then the next move we're gonna do is a bridge. So I have my heels in a position where they're close enough to my bum that I can touch them. And I'm gonna take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, I'm thinking about tilting my pelvis toward the wall behind me. And you just keep tilting, 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 tilting until your bum comes off the mat, your low back comes off the mat, and you are in a glute bridge. And you want to get that slow exhale like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. Your pelvic floor is contracted up and in, and things are feeling really stable. And then you inhale back down, one vertebrae at a time. And then we're gonna do that again. So it's the inhale, you're all the way down now, and then exhale, rock it back up. And you can flow through this dynamically, meaning you just kind of move with the breath. I'm gonna show you one way to add another challenging piece, which is one that took me a really long time to be brave enough to try. And it also takes time to build up the strength to be able to do it. But it's one that is incredible for your low back, for those abs, you know, really, and your balance, all of these things. So if you want to try that next challenging move, you're going to be in the up, you know, your bum is up, you're lifted it up in the bridge, and you're going to do a big inhale. So your ribs expand in all directions, pelvic floor relaxes, and then on the exhale, you're going to plant your left foot into the mat strongly. Your hands and your arms are in the mat, and then you're going to lift that right leg off the mat in a 90-90. And then inhale down, exhale the other leg. And again, this is definitely a challenge. So you would have been doing bridges and dead bugs and probably many other, like doing those kind of moves hundreds of times to build the strength and the confidence to lift that leg off the mat. But this is a wonderful one, again, that can really help with the low back. It helps rebuild the pelvic floor when you coordinate it with that breathing, all of that. And then I'm just gonna do one stretch, because I usually always will end whatever I do with a little bit of a stretch. So I'm gonna get into a child's pose here. So I have my toes together, knees apart, and I let my bum fall back, and then I take my arms and I walk them out. And this is a wonderful low back hip stretch. This feels really good, especially after doing those marching glute bridges. And you can let your head down and relax. And just take some nice deep breaths here. And I was just going to share a story from when the first time I was postpartum. I felt like I kind of lost who I was a little bit. It was like, whose body is this and how am I living in it? And I really identified as my daughter's mom. And I felt like I lost a little bit of who I was. And um, some of that had to do with the type of movement I was doing while I was pregnant, and then what I felt like I was unable to do postpartum. And that piece I have figured out after that pregnancy, kind of figured out how to do it. And like I said, learned about how to do it in a way that's safe and effective and feels really good for your body. Because after that first baby, my understanding was you literally don't do anything. You go to the doctor at 6 weeks, and then they say you're cleared, and then you go back to everything you were doing before you had the baby, which is absolutely not accurate. And I'm not sure why that was my thinking, but it was. And I literally remember a moment when it was our daughter's, it was like her first visit at like outpatient. And during the visit, I was just like not feeling well. And my husband was like, "Are you okay? Like you look a little pale. Like, is everything okay?" And I was like, "I don't know, I think I just need to drink some water." And like when I had sat back and thought about it, like I hadn't eaten or drank any water or really moved my body in multiple hours. And of course, in those initial days, especially as a first time mom, I was like, you're kind of like, what's day, what's night? Like, it's just like all a blur. And yeah, so I think the reason why I mentioned that story is because there were times during that postpartum journey where it was like, this feels like it could be better. Like, it feels like I could be doing this better. I could be taking care of myself better. I'm doing the best that I can, but maybe there's things I could be learning or doing or practicing. And what I have learned, I've had 5 babies, so that was the first. So over the next 4 pregnancies, I really learned how to stay connected to myself, how to reconnect to myself, and then how to embrace this new version of myself that I was, and sort of get into like a higher level, a higher version of myself, as opposed to bouncing back. And so because of that, I have created this movement coaching for postpartum physicians that maybe are in that space where I was, where it was like, you're navigating all of these things. You feel like you should know how to do everything, but maybe you don't. And finding the gentle movement to heal, to recover, but not having to think about it, not having to like create a plan, because that's mentally exhausting. Just being able to show up and like, here's what it is, here's how you do it. I can help you through that. I'm the movement coach for you, to support you in an encouraging way, in a positive way, in a personalized support kind of way. So if any of that is resonating with you, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling that, where I'm the baby's mom, but where am I? Like, how do I reconnect with myself? Definitely sign up for a 30-minute free movement consult. I will have the link below, so we can talk all about how moving your body just for a few minutes a day can transform your life as a physician mom, and really help you see how that little bit of movement that's very doable, that can fit into your life, will help you feel physically and emotionally better. You'll feel reconnected to yourself. You'll feel more like yourself, even during this challenging postpartum time. So that's what I want for you. That's why I'm here for you. Thank you for watching. Definitely subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I have hundreds of videos on a whole variety of different types of exercises and mindset stuff. And yeah, like I said, if anything is resonating, definitely sign up for that 30-minute free movement consult, so we can talk more about what working one-on-one looks like, and how in a few minutes a day you can transform your mom life from feeling exhausted and tired and maybe anxiety ridden, and I really want to be doing all these things, I just don't know how, I'm stuck, to I can fit it in, it's doable, I know what to do and when to do it, and I feel really good, I feel reconnected. Awesome. All right, subscribe, share. Thank you again for watching. Bye, everyone.